Hello and welcome to today's Azure Back to School contribution. In this video, you are going to learn about Azure Cognitive Services, a cloud technology that allows you to easily integrate artificial intelligence in your applications. We are Carla Mamani Luis and Luis Beltran, and we are delighted to participate in this event. Special thanks to Dwayne Natwick for organizing this great initiative. So let's get started. Before that, just a brief introduction about ourselves. I'm Luis, a Microsoft MVP in AI and developer technologies from Mexico. I work as a lecturer at Tecnológico Nacional de México in Celaya, although I'm currently pursuing my PhD at Thomas Bata University in Zlín, Czech Republic. I enjoy talking about cloud computing with Azure, mobile applications development with Xamarin, artificial intelligence with neural networks, and .NET as a platform in general. You can find me on Twitter as @darkestbeam, and here you also have my email, in case you want to reach out and talk about any of these topics. My colleague Carla will introduce herself a bit later. So let's get started. Currently, we live in a world where everyone is connected through internet. Millions of data are being generated every single minute, and a relevant amount of that total is created by human-machine interaction, such as when we interact with a conversational bot or when we talk to a digital assistant. In fact, artificial intelligence makes life easier for humans. We can give a command to a smart TV in order to change the channel or find our favorite program. So manual interaction with a remote control is no longer needed. Talking to a machine using our voice and natural language and making it to understand our intentions is an application of artificial intelligence. The machine learning model that is integrated in this software uses natural language processing in order to recognize words, translate them into text that will be analyzed to detect what we want and some context, such as date, time, or place. We don't need to use a special voice command to interact with this machine. It feels like talking to a friend. We actually live surrounded by applications of artificial intelligence. For example, we can interact with digital screens that can track our sight and make decisions based on our eyes movement, or we can simplify things by using our fingers. As we mentioned earlier, there is also the conversational bot interaction. We can chat with this software element and get information, assistance in our requests, or make things happen, such as a flight reservation or a question answer from a knowledge base. The third example that you can see in this slide is an online store that displays a customized appearance or product recommendations that most probably the users will be interested in, bringing an effective benefit to the company. Since these products are not randomly selected, but chosen from customers' previous shopping history, past searches, and even what our friends have bought in the past, yes, artificial intelligence can extract relevant information from our relationships with other people. AI is not only the future, but the present. We live in an internet era where there is an explosion of data every single minute. This data is generated mostly by mobile phones and applications such as WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and others. The Internet of Things, nanotechnology, drones, and blockchain, among others, are current trends and technologies that draw a lot of attention by companies. They integrate the data into mixed reality applications so they can add virtual elements to physical locations. Genetic engineering is the process of using recombinant DNA technology to alter the genetic makeup of an organism. And this is possible thanks to lots of information stored from the past. And the future is bright. In a few months or years, we will see emerging and promising technologies around us. Maybe flying cars or smart cities will become a reality too. The key here is to learn about artificial intelligence and use it to help society to make decisions. So what do we need to analyze data? Here you can see an example of a deep neural network called convolutional neural network that recognizes handwritten digits. In order to actually identify them, the network must be trained with data. So we can provide thousands of pictures of every digit and add a label that says what number is there. This is known as supervised learning because we provide data with the actual tags or labels. Then this image is processed or converted into a matrix of numbers because a picture is an array of bytes that represent the color in an hexadecimal format. Then we perform some operations such as matrix multiplication, which in terms of deep learning means that we are applying a filter. The purpose of this one is to detect low-level features such as borders, edges, or lines. As we continue to apply filters, we will be able to detect higher-level features such as shapes, circles, and other patterns that distinguish every digit from another. You can see in the slide that there are several multiplications. The result of each set of operation is a convolutional layer, and in between these layers, we also apply a small filter known as pooling, which reduces the number of dimensions. So the matrices will be smaller every time. At the end, we will connect it to a fully connected neural network that we will use to detect the right output. So after this process, it will learn that this input is actually number 2. Nobody said that artificial intelligence would be easy, but if we need to create smart solutions for a better future, will there be a way to accelerate the AI learning or implementation? The answer to these questions is yes. Cloud leaders such as Microsoft provide workspaces to either create our own machine learning models with enough computation resources or use AI services already trained by Microsoft that will help us to integrate smart capabilities in our applications, even if we don't have any previous AI background or experience. And now, my colleague Carla will introduce herself and will talk about Azure Cognitive Services.
Hi everyone, my name is Carla Mamani Chavez. I am a student the computer science in the University Mayor de San Andres in La Paz, Bolivia. I belong to the program Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador in the milestone gold. Also, I belong the certificate Maya, Microsoft Innovator Educator. Finally, I leader of the community Student Ambassador La Paz. Well, the next sites I view. These are the APIs, SDKs, and services available that AIM to help developers to create intelligence applications with the use of direct artificial intelligence, and we use the need for data science skills and knowledge. Azure Cloud Service enable developers to easy and cognitive before Azure Cloud Service enable developers to easy and cognitive efforts into their applications. Okay, Azure Cloud Service enable applications to see, to hear, speaker, understand, and even begin to reason. The Azure Cloud Service portfolio can be divided into four main pillars. For example, visions, speech, language, and decisions. The next slide, we view why Microsoft Cloud Service. Because easy, as we can simple send an HTTP request to pre-trainer models and services that have been created thanks to innovative research, and AI. In some cases, we can even create customizations AI that adjust to needs. All we need to use Azure Cloud Service is to get the key and use in your app request. Okay, the second, flexible. This is flexible because I make the same on the AP on code call on iOS, Android, and Windows. Also, I integrate into to language and the platform your choice. For example, Node.js, Python, and other. Finally, tester. I built by expert in their file from Microsoft Reach, Bing, and Azure Machine Learning or Azure ML. Also, a quality document, example code, and community support. For example, the quality documentation, is this a Microsoft Learn or a example code? This is a GitHub or community support, for example, Stack Overflow. Okay, and the next slide is how do they work? Okay. You prepare your data, for example, in this case, using the text in Spanish. You include in your HTTP request along with you and the case to authorize the request. Then you send in it to an endpoint and you will get a response as JSON string that you can process in your application to extract the results and present it to your user. Well, the next services, this is speech. Let's see your four categories of the COM service. The first, we have speech. This is a set of services that allow of you to convert speech to text and the text to natural sounding speech. Mover or byte to the speech translator compatibility allows you the performance real-time speech translator and easy integrator via services. Excuse me. Finally, we have speaker recognition. This is on a AP house use is to determine the identity of a unknown speaker. The input audio of the unknown speaker is matched against groups of selected speakers, and if a match is found, the identity of the speakers is returned. Well, pardon, excuse me. The next slide. The next slide. This is a speech-to-text example in Speech Studio. Here is a screenshot of Speech Studio, a portal where you can delete the text as speech services in different ways. This is a label at speech.microsoft.com. You can use your microphone to talk and whatever you said will be detected. Okay, and the second services, this is language. The second group of the computer science, the second group of computers, the second group of cognitive services is language. It is a set of APIs that allow applications to process natural language with pre-compiled scripts and evaluate sentimentals and later to recognize what user want. It is based of conversations, boots, particularity, and QuantMaker and Louis services are useful for that. The next slide, this is an example. As we can see in the example, the services identifies that the language, the case paragraphs on the text, the sentimentals with the next, such as whether is the positive or negative, may be neutral. Some case paragraphs are also detected.
The third category is vision. This enables our applications to see and describe what is happening in a picture or video. The Computer Vision API is able to analyze the content in multimedia files, so we can get a description that represents any scene, what objects are recognized in a photo, or even identify celebrities such as actors or famous people. Face API detects and identifies people and facial attributes such as hair, emotion, whether a person is happy or sad or angry, and even an estimated age is possible to get thanks to this service. Finally, Custom Vision allows us to easily create a custom image recognition or object detection model from our own images to fit our business models or needs. Actually, in this slide, you can see a Custom Vision example. On the left, we provide pictures of different tools. Then a model is trained, and after that, we can test it with a new image, and it will be able to recognize what object is present in the photo. We can, of course, integrate this custom model in a mobile, web, desktop application that we develop in any technology. And the final category is decision, which supports actions based on data analysis. Sometimes we want to detect outliers that might be present in our data, such as variation in temperature or fraud bank operation. With Anomaly Detector API, we can identify these kind of issues or even predict them before they happen. Content Moderator detects potentially offensive or unwanted content, such as racist pictures or adult content that should not be allowed in an application. Finally, Personalizer allows us to create rich experiences for each user. So we can use it, for example, to present a relevant product to our customers, saving them some time and increasing the revenue probability of our company, since customers will have the products that they will be interested in very easily. As an example of Personalizer in this picture, you can see that depending on the day, time, and weather, a relevant news is presented to the user. Then, this model is smart because it can learn if the user actually interacts with this information or not. So the next news that is presented or shown will continue to be relevant. So we said in the title of this talk that all you needed to add AI in your application was 3 steps. And here they are. The first one is to go to the Azure portal and create a cognitive service resource. There are 2 ways. You can either select one from the AI plus machine learning category, or you can actually go to the marketplace still in Azure portal and select again a specific service such as Personalizer, Translator, Custom Vision, or others, or the general resource known as cognitive service. The difference between a specific and general resource is that the keys from the general cognitive service can be used for several services, including vision, language, and speech. So, after you click on Create button, just fill in the blanks with the required information, such as subscription, resource group, region, and pricing tier. The individual services offer a free tier, so you won't have to spend a single penny. The second step is to accept the terms and hit on Create. After a few minutes, the resource will be created. Access it and you will enter a dashboard with several options. Pick the keys and endpoint and copy the primary key, location, and endpoint. Paste them into Notepad or somewhere else. And finally, use this information in your code. Of course, this step depends on the technology, programming language, and cognitive service. In this example, you can see a Node.js application. We add the Azure AI Text Analytics library. Then, in our code, we can create a text analytic client that connects to the endpoint and the keys for authentication of each operation. You see the key here. After that, we can go to our code and call the specific methods, such as analyze sentiment that you see in the bottom image, or detect language. Both operations take an array of strings as parameter. Then the request is sent to the Azure endpoint. And finally, we get the result that we can use in the application, such as the language, primary language that was detected, or the confidence score for each sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral. For this artificial intelligence part, only few lines of code are needed. And now, Carlita will demonstrate a powerful scenario of cognitive services that involve several technologies. So, please, Carlita, explain to us.
Yes, thank you, Liz. Let's get started. We will use 2 common services. These are QuantMaker and Speech. Also, we will use the Azure Book services. Well, the next slide, step 1, create a new QuantMaker services. First, let's choose a knowledge base. This can be some FAQ question and answer. Well, click on the Create a Knowledge Base menu. In step 1, we are going to the Create a New Services. Click on the button Create a New QuantMaker Services and enter the necessary data request by the new services in Microsoft Azure. Well, the step 2, we return to the QuantMaker portal. In the blue box, let's select the tenant on which we are working. In the green box, let's select the Azure subscriptions we are working on. In the yellow box, let's select the new services we create. Finally, let's select the language, for example, English, Spanish, or Japanese. Great. Step 3, let's name it. For example, MLS program KB. Yes. Okay, and the next slide. Here we will add your links or documents contain your question and answer pins. Belong. We can for add more URLs or files. The step 5. Finally, click on the button create your KB. Yes, that's all for the portal QuantMaker. The next slide is this step 6. Here we will be able to edit and train your knowledge base, which contains the question and answer recognized for your documents or websites. Once this procedure is done, we click on the button marked with yellow. Finally, click on the publish. Okay, great. And the step 7. Congratulations, we have a successful file, create the knowledge base. Now let's proceed to create the boot. We will do this with Azure Pub Services. Click on the button create boot. Create boot, sorry. Okay, step 8. Once inside on the Azure portal, here we complement the music data. Finally, we click on the create button, sorry. Okay, once the resource is created, we will go to the channels, the next, and we will the secret case put on in your GS code. Finally, to steps, and the step 9, we will create the last com services. This is a speech. Also, we complement all the music data. Finally, step 10. We get your case and connection points from the speech services. Step 11. The first will add the library as we see in images marked in yellow color. The second, the box green, we add the case of the com service. Okay, finally, we add the case of channel. This is a secret of the direct line. Well, that's all. Now let's see the demonstration. Okay, share your screen. 1 second, please. Okay, they connect the services, and also I share of the knowledge base. Okay, 1 second. Okay, no problem. Hi, how are you?
Hello and welcome. Awesome. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Okay. What is the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program?
The Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors Program is a global group of on-campus ambassadors who are eager to help students and their communities lead in their local tech circles and develop technical and career skills for the future. As a student ambassador,
Okay, that's all of the demonstration. Thank you for attention. Luis, are you here?
Yes, and I am now sharing my screen. Thank you, Carlita, for the great demonstration. Now, let's proceed to a second example, where we will explore the text analytics service. As you saw previously, we created a Node.js application, and we provided the key, endpoint, and code. So the idea in this case is to showcase a web application that simply analyzes some text that is entered by the user, and we will get the language and the sentiment. So in this case, we already have the application running. Let's click on Analyze Text. And now let's enter some text, such as artificial intelligence is very easy to learn thanks to cognitive service. And you can see the result. The language is English and the sentiment is positive. Let's try a second example, this time in Spanish. So this text translates to today is a good day. The sentiment is again positive, but well, we can see that there is an error here because it says that the language is English, which of course is not. Let's try a final one. There was an error in the previous example. And of course, the sentiment is negative. So, to conclude, AI is really important nowadays because it will help us to build the future. Mixed reality, quantum computing, blockchain. All are AI and ML applications. So let's be part of that future. If you want to learn more, visit microsoft.com/cognitive and check the documentation, tutorials, and more. You can also go to Microsoft Learn and find interesting learning paths, which combine theory and practice. You don't even need an Azure subscription to test the cognitive services in application. So we highly recommend you to visit the Learn portal. That will be all from us. Thank you, Carlita, for your great contribution to this talk. And here you have the contact details of us in case you want to learn more about cognitive services. Thank you again to Dwayne Nadwick for organizing the Azure Back to School initiative. Please enjoy the rest of the publications and see you next time.
See you soon.